Just 4 short years ago, Ndamukong Suh was so dominant that he was able to receive the biggest contract in the history of the NFL for a defensive player. Now, 4 years later, nobody has signed Suh through the first part of free agency, and it seems less likely that he'll get a contract anytime soon. What has changed, and can Suh return to any sort of his form? Let's take a look. Let's go back to the beginning. Ndamukong Suh was born in Portland, Oregon, and went to Grant High School. There, he was a three-sport athlete: football, basketball, and track and field. In his senior season, he put up dominant numbers: 65 tackles, 10 sacks, and 4 fumble recoveries. After this season, Suh was named a 4-star recruit and ended up signing with the Nebraska Cornhuskers to play his college football. After suffering an injury that had a medical redshirt in what would have been his first year, in 2006, Suh played his redshirt freshman season, mainly as a backup for Nebraska. He finished the season with 19 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. This earned him freshman All-Big 12 honors from the Sporting News. In 2007, Suh was the starter for 11 of his team's 12 games, recorded 34 tackles, and 1 sack. In 2008, his talents began to really show. He led the team with 76 tackles, recorded 7.5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, both of which he turned into pick sixes, and a touchdown while subbed in at the fullback position. He was the first Nebraska defensive lineman to lead his team in tackles since 1973. This earned him first-team All-Big 12 honors, and he was an honorable mention All-American. In 2009, Ndamukong Suh was amazing. He led his team with 85 tackles, he had 12 sacks, 28 QB pressures, 24 tackles for loss, 10 pass deflection, 3 blocked kicks, and an interception. In the Big 12 championship game that year, he had what I think is the single greatest performance by any defensive player in football history. 12 tackles, 7 of them for loss, 4.5 sacks, and a 13-12 loss to Texas. Even though they lost, Suh was still named the MVP of the game, and looking at the numbers, how could you not give him that award? At season's end, Suh's accolades looked like this: unanimous first-team All-Big 12 honors, unanimous Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He was the Associated Press's College Football of the Year award, and he won the Bill Willis Trophy, the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, the Chuck Bednarik Award, the Lombardi Award, and the Outland Trophy. He was also a unanimous first-team All-American. Well-deserved for one of the best seasons a college football player has ever had. After this, Suh was selected with the 2nd overall pick of the 2010 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. This was before the rookie pay scale existed, so Suh was able to sign a 5-year, $68 million contract with the Lions with $40 million guaranteed. Thank goodness that the rookie pay scale now exists. In 2010, Suh picked up right where he left off in college, leading Detroit, all the rookies, and all the defensive tackles and sacks with 10. He was picked as a starter for the Pro Bowl, the first Lions rookie to do so since Barry Sanders. On January 25, 2011, it was named that he made the All-Pro team. He was named the Sporting News Rookie of the Year, the Pro Football Weekly and Pro Football Writers of America Rookie of the Year, the Pepsi NFL Rookie of the Year, and the AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. As usual in his career, Ndamukong Suh was dominant. Unfortunately, this year would also bring with it one of the things that would follow Suh his entire career: the character concerns. In this season, Suh racked up over $27,000 in fines for illegal activities on the field. 2011 brought with it a moment that has defined Ndamukong Suh's career to this point. Against the Packers, Suh went crazy, and he stomped on the arm of Packers lineman Evan Dietrich Smith. Due to this, which was Suh's 5th on-the-field incident, he was suspended for 2 games. He appealed it, the appeal was shot down, and Suh missed 2 games for the team. Despite this, Suh was still a Pro Bowl alternate for the NFC after 2011, a season where he had 4 sacks, a pass deflection, and 26 tackles. In 2012, Ndamukong Suh did what he always did: make really good plays, but also make poor decisions. On the Thanksgiving game for the Lions, he kicked Houston Texans quarterback Matt Schaub in the groin. Whether or not it was intentional was never determined, but it earned him a $30,000 fine from the league. The rest of the season, Suh had 8 sacks, 2 pass deflections, and 25 tackles. Great numbers, bad decisions. 2013 was more of the same for Suh. On opening weekend, while his teammate DeAndre Levy returned an interception, Suh went low on a block of Viking center John Sullivan. The personal foul nullified Levy's touchdown. After the game, Suh was fined $100,000 for the hit, which is the largest fine ever issued to a player for on-the-field actions. For once, Thanksgiving turned out to be a good thing for Suh, as when he sacked Packers quarterback Matt Flynn, it forced his first career safety. On November 29th of this season, Suh was fined close to $8,000 for doing the throat slash gesture against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 2014, Ndamukong Suh was something that he had not been in a long time. He was a very well-mannered beast. 8.5 sacks, 53 tackles. He made it all the way until week 17 without issue when he stepped on Aaron Rodgers' leg. This earned him a one-game suspension that would have held him out of the wildcard game against the Cowboys the next week. However, the league decided to rescind it and fine him $70,000 instead. Suh did play in that wildcard game and sacked Tony Romo twice, although the Cowboys were able to defeat the Lions in that game. After this season, Suh's performance had clearly outweighed his damage, at least to this point, and the Miami Dolphins signed him to a 6-year, $114 million contract with $60 million guaranteed. This contract made him, at the time, the highest-paid defensive player in NFL history. Suh got through his first season in Miami without major issue. 61 tackles, 6 sacks, and 5 pass defended. He was ranked 40th in the NFL Top 100 Players of 2016. The following year, 2016, Suh once again put together another good season. 16 games, 72 tackles, 5 sacks, 6 pass deflections. Overall, Ndamukong seemed to have cleaned up his act to this point. In 2017, Suh's production began to take a dip. On Thursday Night Football against the Ravens, he committed 2 unnecessary roughness penalties, and the Dolphins lost 42-0. He finished the year with 48 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. After this season, the Dolphins decided to cut him to free up cap space just 3 years into his monster deal. After this, Suh was signed by the Los Angeles Rams on a 1-year, $14 million contract. In this season, Suh had 59 tackles and 4.5 sacks. On December 2nd, he did what he does best, and that's make poor decisions, being fined $20,000 for a horse collar tackle against the Detroit Lions. The Rams went going to the Super Bowl, as you well know, although they ended up losing that game to the Patriots 13-3. After this is where we are now. Suh's contract with the Rams was only for 1 year, and he's currently a free agent, and at this point, no one has signed him. Now, why is that? Suh has the 4th most sacks among defensive tackles active in the NFL right now, and has always been at least some level of a force. So why is nobody able to bring this guy in? It's possible that he still wants a big contract. $14 million toward the cap, which he got last season, if he wants something similar to that, is going to be a lot for contending teams. I doubt Suh wants to go to a team that isn't contending if he has a choice in it. I think the big issue with Suh here is simply that his reputation may finally start to outweigh his play. Suh is 32, and even though he had a good season last year, it may not be good enough for the risk that he brings to the table. I think one of the big issues with Suh is quite simply that his time in Miami cooled him off. After his 2014 season in Detroit, he was considered one of the most disruptive defensive players in the entire NFL. After Miami, he was just another good defensive tackle. It could be that they were never contending, those Dolphins teams, but the Lions weren't always contenders either. As Suh aged, he went to a poor location for it, and it hurt him. He had a pretty decent bounce-back season for the Rams, but it simply wasn't good enough to overcome, I think, his reputation. So will Ndamukong Suh sign anywhere? I think the answer to that is obviously of course. He's young enough, even at 32, to provide something to some team. Personally, I would really love him on the Dallas Cowboys. We need a better pass rush. If the team doesn't bring back DeMarcus Lawrence, we're going to really need pass rush, and Ndamukong Suh can still provide that in some way. Who will sign him? I don't know. Will someone sign him? I can almost guarantee it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed today's video and want to see more. This has been Kickoff Commentary, and have a great day.